Hello, this is Ken, your podcast preacher, and I want to welcome you back to Deep Water. This podcast is brought to you by Applied Strengths Ministry, where we believe working together in our strengths is the effect of working out the will and calling of God in our lives. The title of this message is Listen, See That? I Can't Hear and You Can't See. This is a multi-episode series in which this is episode 2 of 4. So back to Adam. You see, God sees. And when we think He may see us as we really are, we try and hide from His voice instead of knowing ourselves well enough to know who we are and that we are naked without Him. And besides, who is hearing who here? Psalms 3:4. I cried to the Lord with my voice, and He heard me from His holy hill. Selah. Psalm 6:9. The Lord has heard my supplication. The Lord will receive my prayer. Psalms 10:17. Lord, you have heard the desire of the humble. You will prepare their heart. You will cause your ear to hear. Okay, so we must be humble to gain God's ear gaze. Yep, you cannot hide from who you are. Lord knows everyone in whom you have bamboozled, knows your character, and your lack of integrity. And yes, He even saw what you did last night. Don't you think you ought to know yourself by now? Jeremiah 23:18. For who has stood in the counsel of the Lord, and has perceived and heard His word? Who has marked His word and heard it? So now I could add thousands of scriptures to express what each of the following words mean and what they mean to you, but that would be impractical. So what I will do is include one or two scriptures to support the message premise. It is also important as we wind this message to a close that you see the two biggest necessities in life is to hear and see as it pertains to the things of God. We can do without these faculties in the natural, although very difficult, but we cannot do with closed ears and eyes as it pertains to the supernatural. The cost is devastating and irreversible. It is important to know that in addition to the fact that the following will address both the ears and the eyes, some of them will also deal with the times that we are in. We see this in Isaiah 1:2. Okay, so I will help for a minute here. Now God is talking to the heavens and to the earth as if they could hear. Now, according to the example at the beginning of this message, it would seem so. Now, the mystery is the response he may get or is expecting. Another message or revelation is that this statement can be applied to the USA right now in 2022. It's 100% true. Now, in reading this, it should invoke a response of humility and repentance, which is what reconnects us to God's nice side, if I may take the liberty to say so. And another thing, and I can go on, but I won't, is that He is telling us He has kids and that He took care of them. That is us. He is a God that cares for His own, even though His own rejected Him in the end. Okay, so one more. How heartbreaking this must be for God. I mean, it's like in one sense, He is a guy that all of the earth bullies picked on relentlessly because He was the opposite of us in terms of behavior. A cheap example would be like, so mom and dad buy you a house, and you begin by asking all kinds of details about it rather than to show appreciation for the gift. You see, you want to size it up before you can make the decision to show appreciation. This moment plays out every day between us and each other, and between us and God. Heartbreaking. We see it at the grandest of events during Christmas. How apropos. Ear. Isaiah 1:2. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. For the Lord has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. Deuteronomy 1:45. Then you returned and wept before the Lord, but the Lord would not listen to your voice nor give ear to you. Okay, so now I won't be doing this over and over again, but I did want to point out in Deuteronomy that even though they felt remorse for their bad behavior again, God had had enough. In my message, Don't Play with Your Salvation, I dealt with this more thoroughly. So but now look as to why they got on God's last nerve. Paul must have been talking about this moment when he was sharing with the Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 7:9-11. Now I rejoice, not that you were made sorry, but that your sorrow led to repentance. For you were made sorry in a godly manner, that you might suffer loss from us in nothing. For godly sorrow produces repentance, leading to salvation, not to be regretted, But the sorrow of the world produces death. For observing this very thing, that you sorrowed in a godly manner, what diligence it produced in you, what clearing of yourselves, what indignation, what fear, what vehement desire, what zeal, what vindication. In all things you proved yourselves to be clear in this matter. Ears. 1 Peter 3:12. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Mark 4:9. And he said to them, He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Now we go on to hear. Acts 2:22. Men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested by God to you by miracles, wonders, and signs, which God did through him in your midst, as you yourselves also know. John 3:29. He who has the bride is the bridegroom, but the friend of the bridegroom, who stands and hears him, rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. Therefore this joy of mine is fulfilled. See, Genesis 2:19. Out of the ground God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. What? God was watching Adam to see what Adam would call the animals? Next time you see an animal, think about the fact that God was watching Adam name that animal, right then and there, in the place called paradise. What kind of a God would be so personal with his creation to hang out with them as they carried about their day? Is it any wonder why we come to him when we are completely absent of any answers to our issues? Go to your garden or your special place to visit and see if you cannot hear or see him watching you, listening to you. And I do suspect it may have been a process with Adam, taking on such a big responsibility. No doubt he started naming the birds, duck, duck, goose, goose. Thank God he was there to clarify the instructions and help Adam to differentiate between the ducks and the ducks and the geese and the geese. 1 John 3:2. Beloved, now we are children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. Oh, to see him as he is. What a freaking great day it will be to see God as he is. Oh, I hear Jupiter shouting its colors into space. Saturn no doubt casting her crown before the feet of Jesus in that day. Seeing. Proverbs 20:12. The hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord has made them both. When I came across this one, it amused me. You see, he didn't say that he made the ears and eyes, did he? It stated that he made the seeing eye and the hearing ear. If you want your ears to hear and your eyes to see, then ask the one who made it possible for them to be. And just to show you how perceptive I am, it took until I got to this portion of the message to notice that the ear is hidden in plain sight in the ear. Not sure how often the utility of a word is found in the word itself, but pretty cool. But so you know, when I say so that we are going on a journey, I suspect that if we set aside the content of this whole message, we could get all that we need from John chapter 9 to keep us busy for the next month. I am inclined to yet again make up another word or process to explain myself. If you have never heard of multi-level Very sifting, then you have definitely heard it here first. I guess another less embellished way of saying what I am trying to say is to sort, big to little to dust. In John, we are not going to dust it, but sort it into medium-sized rocks. If you want to dust the thing out, which I recommend you do, then set aside some time and source your study tools and go to grinding. There is so much in this chapter. Well, let's go. Well, that's it for today. Remember, it's not what you find wrong or disagree with regarding these messages, but what you can take away from it. Together we can do more to impact the kingdom than if we work alone. Let's flip the script and kill, steal, and destroy the works of the enemy and create space for the light of life to shine through into people's lives. Plant a seed and click on the like and subscribe button. Let's build this ministry together. Thanks, and see you next time in Deep Waters.